Place the hands a little wider than the shoulders. Come onto your feet and stretch on back. As we greet each other in this practice in the pose of downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, take your time to find your best pose here. Pedal out the feet, shake out the head. Be more still, whatever it might be for this first pose of this practice. And as we stay here for perhaps longer than might first feel comfortable, what else are you using to tap into? For me, it is the breath. It's this talking myself through, allowing for change, allowing for variation. Keep that mindset throughout today's practice. Allow yourself to change, to alter. Use different pieces of yourself, such as breath, such as motivational speech, to help. And then come to child's pose, knees down, big toes together. Stretch your hips back towards your heels and reach the arms out in front of you. Be on the fingertips. Lift your forearms, elbows, upper arm bones to the sky. Get that nice hollowing underneath the armpits so you can stretch a little more fully down the length of the spine. Walk both hands over towards the right side. Walk the hands across the center and over towards the left side. Bring it back into the middle. Again, come to downward facing dog. Spread the fingers themselves wide. Grip the earth underneath the finger pads to give a little more support as you take this full stretch. Now inhale, come forward to plank pose. Your choice to stay in plank or add a push-up down and up. Use your toes or be on your knees. In between, go to downward facing dog and do the plank hold or the push-up 5 times here. Try to go your full range of motion. Use good form. If you're going tricep push-ups, hug the elbows right in to your side. Stretch back to downward facing dog and stay for a moment after the 5th. Arms should be on fire, core supporting you. And one more time, come to plank. This time, everyone lie flat down onto your belly. Reach your arms back behind you. Turn the palms to face up to the sky and lift everything that you can up. Interior hip points down, but everything else up off of the mat as much as possible. And then lower it down, press back to child's pose. Through to downward facing dog. And walk your hands now backwards to your feet. So bend the knees to make that a little more doable. Each hand gets all of the weight one by one until you make your way back to your toes. Inhale, half lift, extend from the hips out to the crown of the head. Make an L shape in the body. And then fold over your legs, standing forward fold. Bend the knees to come all the way up to standing. As you do that, reach your arms to the sky. Look towards the front of your yoga mat and step your right foot forward into a lunge. Use one step or several to come into your high lunge. Here in high lunge, pull right hip back in space, left hip a little bit forward. Doggy making an appearance for us here. One more breath in the high lunge, and then simply walk. Take the hands down, step back to plank, downward facing dog, and walk your hands back again to your feet. Inhale, half lift. Hands can go as high as the thighs. Exhale, forward fold. So we're taking everything slow this first little warm-up round. Bless you, Bodhi. And then slowly come all the way up to standing. As you do so, lift the arms overhead. Gaze towards the front of the mat. Left foot takes that big step or several forward to your high lunge. Try to give as much weight into the back leg as you do the front leg here. I usually weigh that by pressing down through the front big toe, but also lifting in the back heel and finding a lot of presence there. Okay, let's lower the hands down. Step back to plank this time. Stay in plank. Lower down to your belly. Bend both knees. Make the inner edges of your feet touch, but the knees can splay. And then take the hands behind your head and lift everything that you can up. Notice that if this for you is more doable, more difficult than the time before with the arms and the legs straighter. Sometimes a little pressure against each other can help. Okay, lower it all the way down, press back to child's pose. We'll move faster now. Go to downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. Stand up, arms to the sky. Step your right foot forward into your high lunge. Change to warrior one. Spin your back heel down, so 2 flat feet. Try to still square the hips and shoulders towards the front of the mat. Press through your front big toe and your back outer heel. One more breath here in high lunge and warrior one. And then lower the hands down. Step through plank to downward facing dog. Walk the hands backwards to your feet. Stand up, lift the arms to the sky. Step the left foot forward into your high lunge. Find that and then back heel down to the floor. I always like coming at warrior one from that high lunge, trying to make a smooth transition, not changing the length of the stride, allowing the back hip to open slightly to make it work. Lower the hands along each side of the front foot. Step back to plank and hold plank. Lower flat down to your mat. This time, arms forward. Reach your feet back. Superhero. Inhale, lift everything that you can up. Give it a couple of breaths here if possible. And then lower down and press back to child's pose. Downward facing dog. You have one more round of those big steps into your lunge, so walk the hands back here. Stand up, arms to the sky. Step the right foot forward to the front of the mat. Make sure there's a nice bend in the knees as you take that. Keep the back heel lifted this time and add a twist. So we're coming forward in the torso, palms together, left elbow towards the right side. You can lock it across the thigh or knee or stay more lifted, twisting in space. Do your best, tone and turn through the abdomen here. And then untwist, set the hands down. Step back to plank, lift the hips, down dog. Walk the hands back to the feet. Stand up, lift the arms to the sky. Step the left foot forward, high lunge. Find your balance first. Feet still hip distance apart the entire time. And then hinge forward. Palms together. Take the right elbow now towards the left side. If you're bringing the elbow all the way to the outside of the thigh, really do press the belly, the chest into the thigh. Close out all the air, all the space, making for a really safe, deeper twist in the spine. And then untwist. Step to plank position. Lower down to the mat. Like superhero again, arms forward, feet back. But this time, lift opposite arm and leg. Lift your right arm and your left leg up. Keep pressing right leg, left arm down. Everything goes down, second side. Left arm, right leg up. Point both thumbs straight towards the sky. And then lower it down. Press back to child's pose. Enjoy the flood of warmth. The results of the strong measure of focus and strength that come through that warm up section. All fours. See how cat and cow feels here after a strong opening 15 minutes of practice. Just easy cat-cow movement now. Back and forth in the spine. Go at a pace that feels good for you. Slow the breath down a bit perhaps, really focusing on the breath in and out of the belly, in and out of the nose. And one more downward facing dog here. One more for this top section of the class, I should say. Find more stillness in this downward facing dog than you did before it. Stillness in the outer form. Still plenty of internal breath and movement. Firm the muscle to the bone with the extra length of time. Continue to press through your thumb and your first finger. Okay, now slowly walk your feet forward to the front of the mat. Hands to your waist. Point the elbows to the sky, push down into your feet, and come up. Palms either in front of you in prayer position or down by your side. What's speaking to you? Take a moment in this stance. Perhaps setting even more focus and intention through the rest of this morning's mat practice. Okay, as we're ready, continuing the movement, hands to the waist, keep the right foot forward, step your left foot back. Get into that high lunge shape. Terrific. Spin your back heel down, warrior one legs. Interlace your hands behind your back and squeeze your elbows in. Maybe even the base palm of your hand together. Try to keep that and stretch the arms straighter. Lift and look towards the sky. Stay in that lifted, extended position, or take head down towards the floor, arms up towards the sky. If you're like me, I'm making a choice here. Do I want to focus on palms together? My choice is yes today. And so that I'm not worrying about how high the arms lift towards the sky, because I know that would break the wrist apart. Choices. Lower the hands on each side of the front foot. Pick up your back heel and step forward. Stand up, hands to the hips. Keep left foot forward, step the right foot back, high lunge. So just building on the shapes we made in our warm-up. Spin the back heel down. Okay, it's going to open up the right hip a bit, but we still want our focus mostly towards the front short side of the mat. Interlace your hands again behind the back. This time, switch the other finger in front. Second favorite finger. Okay, can you squeeze the base of the hand and straighten the arms? And look more up towards the sky. And one of those answers might be no, and you leave out that section. Okay, keep trying to push the weight into the back leg even as you take the head lower towards the inside edge of the left foot, the front foot, and lift the arms. I'm going with today only as high towards the sky as you can keep pressing the heel of the hand in. And there are modifications, there are variations of any pose and every pose based on what works for you. Maybe it's no clasp of the hands. Maybe it's standing up rather than keeping the head down here. You're always asked to take what's best for you. Release the hands. Do come into the low lunge and then step forward, both feet to the front of the mat. Hands to the waist, elbows to the sky, stand up. Taking it stage by stage here. Take a wide stance on your mat. Face the long edge. Point your toes straight ahead and your heels straight back. Make the arms, the legs as straight as they'll go. No bend in the elbows. Turn your right toes out. Good old triangle pose. Take the right hand down to the inner edge of the foot along the ground. Under a block if you're using it. I like to use my leg for that extra bit of height. It's always going to be every single height that you need. Remember, arms, legs, as straight as possible here. And then come upright and do triangle on the second side. So you turn the right toes straight ahead, turn the left toes out. I usually line up heel to the middle of the back foot. You could also line up heel to give yourself a little bit more ease and balance. Hinge towards the left. Take left fingertips to the ground, a block or your leg. And if you're using your leg like I am, it's like I'm trying to push my shin up into the hand even as I press the hand down into the front of the shin. There's always this little silent tug of war going on. And inhale, come all the way back up. Turn your feet again parallel to one another. Wide-legged forward fold. Make the fingertips touch the ground. As your fingertips touch the ground, you can either give it some variety by bending the knees, placing the hands underneath a block to make it easier to keep the legs straight. If the legs already go straight for you, walk the hands further in and the head more down towards the ground. And if you are of the more easily folded variety and your head does find the ground here, take a more narrow stance, kind of heel toe your feet slightly closer together so that you, in fact, can't reach the ground with the top of your head. You have to do even more work to keep lengthening. That is your challenge. Everyone, do put more pressure, more weight into your toes, less in your heels here. Sometimes just for fun, I lift heel, side to side while I'm playing in this pose. Others will think that's not fun at all. Change again, hands to the waist, push down into your feet, come all the way upright. And again, turn your right toes out. This time, bend your right knee until it lands about in line with the ankle. If the knee goes easily beyond the ankle, walk out your back leg until it doesn't. Some dynamic play, a little bit of movement to get into this warrior two position. We've had the hips pretty square to the front for all those standing lunges to begin with, so a little different opening and direction. Extend the arms out, look out over the right fingertips. And after so much work with the hips in a closed position, I have to really focus my attention on my back leg. You do the same. Lift up on your left kneecap, tone in the left thigh. Make sure the thigh is not trying to poke out forward, but instead more back, almost like you're sticking your butt out on that back leg, but under you on the front leg. And that side angle pose, elbow to knee, top arm, palm down overhead. Good. Stay here, breathe here. Inhale, come back upright in the torso, straighten the right leg, and turn your toes. Second side. Turn the left toes out, right toes straight ahead. Bend the left knee. And as you're playing, as you're finding where you sit into this warrior two position on the second side, notice what you might need to vary, to modify and to create differently than the first. My left knee always likes to fold in more. I have less rotation on this side. Just keep helping it out. And then change to your side angle, elbow to the knee, top arm, palm down overhead, reach. Come all the way back upright. Straighten the left leg, turn the toes parallel. Heel toe the feet all the way in. Give a little shake through the legs. Hopefully obvious. By now we are focusing on standing pose work this morning. Come to the front edge of your yoga mat. And this is the standing pose sequence that's in Yoga Hour Sequence 5. I'm working with that sequence throughout the month of July. Utkatasana, power pose. Lift the arms, bend the knees, sit into your thighs. Last month's sequence didn't have very many standing poses at all, so I picked a pretty heavy standing sequence for this month. Always trying to give us some variety, along with a lot of repetition. Stay right here, Utkatasana. And then take the fingertips down to the floor, but keep your legs just like they were in Utkatasana. And fingertips can be on the floor or underneath a block. And can you lift your left leg up and back? Flex the foot, point the toes down to the floor. Okay, from the rotation of the standing leg, your right leg, rotate through the hips so that we end up in half moon pose. And the left toes turn out to the side from the rotation of the standing leg, and lift your left arm up to the sky. Yes, the top hip opens too, but it's from the focus of work in the bottom leg. And can you rebend the right knee a lot and make the left toes face down to the ground again, so you close off the hip, if you will. Both feet to the ground. Utkatasana, arms go back up, lift the torso more vertical. And we try it on the second side. Fingertips down. Try to stay in Utkatasana in the legs, that bend in the knees. Look a little forward, extension of the spine. And now the right leg goes up and back. Flex the foot, point the toes down to the floor. So the top hip is going along for the ride. It's the bottom leg as you straighten through the left leg a bit more. Externally rotate in the hip to take the right arm, right hip open and up to the sky. The right toes should turn out to the side, and that's how we know we've done it all. Okay. And then rebend the left knee. Right hand goes down, right leg goes down. Again, power pose or fierce pose. And then stand all the way up. Take palms together, center of the chest. Or hands down by your side. Again, just kind of take it in, a couple of breaths. Close the eyes if that feels right for you. Lift both arms up to the sky. We're back to our high lunge. Keep your right foot forward, step your left foot back. Then from the high lunge, try to keep everything that's happening and spin the back heel down to the mat for warrior one. So it will change some, but you're trying to hold on, I'd say, to 90% of what was going on in high lunge. Okay, now hinge forward. We've done this in a twist. From high lunge, we're trying the twist with 2 flat feet, left elbow towards the outside of the right thigh. Can you press a lot through the back outer heel? The twist might look and feel different than it does with the heel lifted. That's okay. And if you really want to get fancy with this, extend the left fingertips as though they're reaching down to the ground. Right arm not just up to the sky, but all the way overhead in your extended, twisted side angle. Come all the way out into a low lunge. Pick up the back heel, rotate the hips in, and step forward 2 feet to the front of the mat. Hands to the waist, come upright. Lift the arms to the sky. I've really always found this pose one of the hardest. It's like the third pose on Mr. Iyengar's syllabus, which is a little bit wacky and crazy. Left foot forward, right foot back. And then we go warrior one, back heel down. One of the reasons I think it's at the top of the syllabus is that it's all about this add-on and teaching us right away one piece and the next. Come forward, hinge forward. Now when you hinge forward, if you're like me, the left hip wants to stick way out to the side here. But I know to get into that twist, I can't let that happen. Just keep pulling your left hip back in space, just like you did when you were upright in your torso. Then take the palms together and add the tone and turn in the abdomen. Remember, we're thinking no air, no light, no space between belly and thigh. So if I can close it all the way down and get the elbow across and keep the hip back with a lot of weight into the right foot. Do as much as works on this side. Maybe open the arms, left arm to the sky, up and over towards the front, short side of the mat even. Parivrtta Parsvakonasana. And then you come out of the pose nice and slow. Step both feet forward. Stand up and lift the arms to the sky. A bit of a celebration for the work that it takes. And palms together. Take a wide stance. Again, turn to the long edge of your mat. Extend the arms out in either direction. Turn the right toes. Warrior two, you've been here before. Keep the shoulders stacked over the line of the hips. Most of your body and energy moving towards that long side of the mat. Drop your left arm down. Lift your right arm up. Look up and lean back a little bit. To keep the left hip, left thigh moving back in space. Look down the left arm. A lot of times the gaze directs the focus of the entire pose. Energy of the body is going to follow. And then come out of it, straighten the right leg, turn the feet. Left toes out, right toes straight ahead. Bend the left knee. Lower the right hand down your right thigh. Maybe start by looking down and back and lift the left arm up. So if I call out Sun Warrior, a lot of folks tend to turn the hips and shoulders more towards the front. I want you to stay open to the side, and it's a side body bend towards the back leg rather than a closed position. Really nice, friends. Come all the way back, straighten both legs, turn the toes parallel to one another. Wide-legged forward fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. You've been here once before in practice today. Find it again, find it differently. Perhaps try holding hands to your ankles. Bend the elbows out to the side as you reach your head down towards the floor. Bring the hands back to the waist. Bend the knees as wanted, needed. Come all the way back upright and heel toe your feet in. Give the legs a big shake. They have carried us through great work today. Come back to the front end of the mat. One sun salutation, one flow to get us down to the floor and into our cool down. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower to your mat. Cobra. Guess what? First cobra we've done. Stay here. Try to make your arms today as straight as possible while keeping the front of the hips down on the mat. If I think about that, I've got to keep some bend in the elbows. It doesn't mean you have to straighten. More of a low back bend. And then lower it all the way down. Sit back to child's pose. So then you get to round the low back in the opposite direction. And I want you to shift all the way to lie down onto your back. So whichever way you want to face on your mat, but come all the way down onto your back. We'll do the last standing pose of the sequence actually from a supine position here, lying down. So it's no longer standing. Pull your right knee up and into your chest. And then left leg straight down along the mat. Flex your left foot so that your toes point straight up to the sky. Left hand to your left waist or hip, and take your first two fingers and thumb around your right big toe. Right hand, right big toe. Okay, now stretch the leg as straight as possible up towards the sky. Imagine that you are doing this in a standing balance. Extend, extend, extend through the hamstrings. Strength along the calf as well. Keep the foot flexed. And then can you take the leg out to the side? Keep pushing through your left foot as if you were standing on it. And then bring the right leg back up towards the sky. Release the hold of the leg and lower it down. Is your right leg a little longer than the left? Mine feels that way right now. Pull the left knee into your chest. We'll even it out here. Take the left hand, first two fingers and thumb around the big toe. Other options are to hold the outside of the leg, kind of hook the arm underneath the thigh. Keeping the right leg as straight as possible, right against your mat, because we're imagining that you're actually standing on it, right? Extend the left leg straight, straight, straighter. To or towards straight, that's always an important instruction. If the bottom knee starts to bend and the leg comes off the ground here, instead, bend the top leg for today. And then the leg goes out to the side, whether it's all the way straight or not. These guide points on our back help us know what position the top leg might be in when you're standing as well. It can be easy to kind of lose our way and think, oh, I should have a straight leg there. But if we're not doing it when we're lying down on our back, then when we're adding in balance as we're standing, I'd say that's an unrealistic expectation. One thing that this practice teaches me is how to set goals that are going to work, that feel attainable to some degree, that reach to some degree. Bring the leg back in and lower it down. That's my philosophy anyways. I want a little reach. Goal by goal, I can get the way there. Take the arms overhead. Reach overhead from the fingertips and down to the toes. And then give yourself a good squeeze, knees into the chest, a little hug. Take the hands out to a T shape. Lay both knees over towards the right side in a supine twist. Good and easy here. Letting the practice wind down and cool down. Okay, take the knees across the center to the second side. Add in any last unwinding movement, a last pose for yourself here, whatever feels nice. And then go to your stillness. Be in stillness while you're lying back, on your side, or seated. Just like every other pose, it is your choice. You're welcome to stay in your still and silent position for a longer period of time. I will close us out here in the sound of Om. For those wishing to join in, empty out the breath here and take a deep breath in. In full gratitude to yourself, each other, this practice. Thank you. Namaste.